Hi, and welcome back to part number 3 of the Tamiya 120 scale Honda RA272. In part number 2, which was the beginning of construction, I was able to get steps 1 through 6 completed to finish the engine and exhaust. The only thing I did not actually glue in place were the drive shafts, and the reason being is they're not a real positive fit, so it's like they kind of flop around a bit. So I am going to wait until I actually start assembling everything, see where the wheels and axle or wheels and suspension are going to go before I glue those drive shafts on. So now I'm ready to start on step number 7, and it is labeled front uprights. So it looks like we got the disc brakes and some suspension bits here. So I'm going to cut those parts off. I think I'll go ahead and cut these parts off as well, get everything cleaned up and ready to go, so I can start doing some painting and gluing, because I'm having to do both kind of at the same time. So the first thing I need is D29, which looks like the disc brakes and rotors. So I'm going to cut 2 of those off. Now I'm not going to be doing this for, any length of time. I'm just going to do the first few bits. And then everything else will probably most likely be done off camera. As far as the cleanup and cutting off and all that kind of stuff, just to save a little bit of time. So we got 12 and 13. So 12, 13. And then I'm going to need the poly caps as well. So I'll get the little bag that those go in. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this stuff up and probably get it painted. And then we'll come back and start assembling all of it. All right, I got these parts cut off and cleaned up, as well as everything in this step and this step. Because what I want to do is I want to get all of that primed at the same time. So the only thing I really need to assemble before I prime and paint is the radiator. So I've already got it cleaned up, obviously, and I should put it on right side up. Yes, I can be a goober most of the time. All right, so there we go. So I'm just gonna hit it with some extra thin there. Let's go over to the opposite side here, pink, like that. Okay, squeeze it together. Make sure that it is glued down well all the way around. Clamp it with these, and I'll save that for the last item that I prime, so to give it time to dry. So I've got this part here, which is part of the chassis, and then I've got all these parts on sticks ready to go. So first things first, I'm going to prime it. I'm using Mr. Surfacer 1500 cut 50/50 with MLT, which is my normal potion for priming stuff. In this case I'm using gray just because I've got black, silver, and white, and I just want it evenly gray across the board. So let me get these primed and I'll come back. Okay, then we've got all these parts for the next few steps painted, so we're ready to start gluing some stuff together. So the first thing, I need some poly caps for the discs and stuff. So, in typical fashion, polycap goes in there, and this part glues on here. Now what I painted this stuff with was my, let's see, I used a mixture of different paints. I used Tamiya Tamiya, what was it, X56? Yeah, XF56. I used that for the disc rotors per the instructions. I used SMS black acrylic lacquer for these parts, and yes, I sprayed them. I spray small parts all the time just because I like nice smooth stuff. But that's what I used to paint that. Let's see, what else did I use? For the silver color on the bottom here, I used MRP, another acrylic lacquer. And guess what? It's acrylic, but you don't thin it with water or clean it up with water. It's an acrylic lacquer. Nice, huh? Spray's awesome too. Really like those acrylic lacquer paints. Okay, so this one, these are really tight fit. And then for the brake caliper, I used AK 3rd generation aluminum. So I've got a pleasant mix of stuff going on here. All right, so we got those glued together. That takes care of step number 7. Okay, with these complete, ready to move on. Step number 8. So I've already got everything painted. Sprayed, did some detail painting. So we're ready to go with assembling this stuff. So the first thing I need to put on is D27, and this fits right here like thusly. Okay, so we got that. So let's get some extra thin here, and if a peg goes all the way through or a slot or whatever, most of the time I'll put the cement in like that, just let it seep in. That way, less chance of me marring something up. Because I have done that before, believe it or not. What? You thought I was perfect? Oh no, far from it, folks. Okay, so I'm going to put some on the inside here as well. Now, if I would have, again, automotive stuff, I'm not used to this kind of stuff, and I just don't have a knack for it. Automotive subjects. What I could have done was I could have glued that on and then painted this stuff. I could have painted it as one part, but it's no big deal. It's just sometimes I like to assemble as much as I can before I get it, before I paint it. Okay, so we've got this part here. It rests in these 2 notches, and then pins go into those holes. So let's see if I can do this without knocking that part loose that I just glued. things look a little awkward the way I'm assembling things is because I'm trying to keep it in frame and keep my stinking noggin out of frame. Okay, that fits there. So that one there. I'm also trying to do this without scratching the paint up. There we go. Just a tight fit. Almost. Now, these things look quite fragile. However, I think because of the kind of weird, kind of flexy plastic they used on this, not much chance of it getting broken, these little spindly parts. So that's kind of cool. And whatever kind of plastic it is, it takes regular cement just fine. So I don't know. I was kind of a little bit hesitant at first on if I was gonna dig this plastic or not, but we're good. Okay, so we got that. So okay, that takes care of that part of 8. So let's move on to this part of 8. So this part, you know, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Then we'll move on with this, because this is going to go down inside of this part here, and I don't want to take a chance of knocking any of that stuff I just glued loose. So we're going to let that sit for a minute. Ready to go. So the wheel brake caliper linkage unit thingies fit, oops, there, and they fit with these arms facing that way, which would be the front of the car. Yeah, front of the car. So then these pins go in these holes, so we'll do that. Well, let me show you first. There's like this little squared off U here, 3-sided box that fits this ridge here. Then there's a hole here and a large pin there. So this just drops down, and then this rests on top of this. So you know what, the first thing I need to do is I need to put some cement on here so it all sticks good. I'm using this thicker stuff here. Put something there. Like that. So then, put that there, that there. Whoops. There we go, like that. Oh, something popped out, I think. Nope. There we go. Just had to make sure that fit there. So what I'm going to do first, so I'm going to put a clamp on that, like that. Then I need to clamp that there, because that needs to fit tightly there. So let's see, let's squeeze that. Excuse me. And we'll get some cement and just drop it in there like that. And then for that, I'm going to use one of these clamps. Like that. Okay. Okay, that's all lined up. That's all looking good. Let's see. Let's put a clamp here where I put that glue. That side's okay. All right, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute, then we'll put some more parts together. Next up is this tie rod, I believe is what it is. And it is not to be glued, it's just friction fit. Excuse me. Got these loops going these pins. And it is slightly bowed, so you want the ends to come up. So you want the bow going down like that. And it fits underneath here. So what I'm doing, this could have been assembled before I put that stuff together, but it will also work like this. So I got the bow facing up. Now I'm going to flip it so it'll clear that other support there, and then I'm going to turn it back the way it's supposed to go. Then I'm going to carefully flex it upwards and get it squeezed into place. Then I will put it on this one here, same way. Again, flex it, squeeze it in place, and now you can turn the wheels for an action pose if you want. See? Pretty cool. Fits together good. No problems. And because of the way it fits in here, I don't think there's ever any problem or worry of that popping off. So kind of does a good job of just looking like a bolt on top or nut, whichever it might be. All right, so let's see. That concludes all of step 8. So the next thing is to install the pedal cluster, the seat, and the radiator. This will fit there, thusly. Now that is not a real, okay, so I think it kind of, you got these tabs here, and they're kind of angled, and they fit in here. And then there's this tab in the middle, so I'm assuming that it kind of acts as a stop to keep it from being too far forward. So it looks like that. See if I can find it on that. It's not really an illustration. So let's see. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape the paint off of this here for good plastic to plastic contact. Then put a little dab of glue there, there, and there. Now this is all underneath, so you don't have to worry about being too careful with it. And as you can see, I'm using different types of paint, glues for different jobs. So it's good to have a variety of tools in the toolbox, so to speak. All right, so that looks pretty good. Then we've got the radiator, and that fits here and there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pins for 4 holes, and then this tab fits right on top of there. So I'm going to scrape the paint off here, because again, I want good plastic to plastic contact. It's not totally necessary, but it is something that I like to do, and part of the reason is a long time ago, that is one of the things my pop taught me when building models, is make sure that the paint is scraped off so you get a good connection, because the cement is supposed to melt the plastic, and you want a good fit. So Pop, thanks. All right, so that goes there. Okay, so let's hold that in place. Let's get this here. Now all this stuff is going to be underneath the cowling, so you're not going to see much of it, but Still a good idea to take some care. All right, so I'm going to hold this, let it dry up good. And finally, the seat. And the way this glues in is pretty simple. You got 2 pins, 2 holes. Boom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this a little bit so I know where the plastic is coming in contact. Carefully scrape some off, again for that good plastic to plastic contact. Like that. Okay, so let's put some cement there, there. Then I'm going to put a little bit right here. Like that. And like that. And then, probably overkill, but right there to seep along the front edge. And we are making some progress, folks. So there we go. And that finishes up part 9, or step 9. And with the completion of step number 9, I think this is a good place to end this video. So that's it for part number 3 of the Tamiya 120 scale RA272. So next time when we come back, we will start on step 10, which looks like body parts. And that's going to be getting it close to being done. So, as always, thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with this awesome build. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you have any experience with one of these cars, please put a comment down below. Or if you just want to chat, comments are always welcome. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. And until next time, I bid you a fond adieu.